What up, guys? It's Phil with Phil's Lawn Care.
Hey, it's Aaron with the Mowing in the Dark Lawn Care Podcast.
Hey guys, Cameron here with the Lawn Care Life of Missouri.
Hey everyone, this is Evan with Turf Nerds, a lawn care podcast.
Hey guys, this is Dan White with Lawn Care Unscripted.
And you're listening to the Lawn Care Talk with Tony Rudolph.
What's up, guys? So we got something definitely special right now because not only do we have one guest on here, we have two guests. We have my friend Ron and Daniel. And I would say it's not really like an interview, as most of mine probably really are not in real actuality. It's more of, hey, these guys are like a co-host or whatever you want to call it, talking together on the show. Now, I've had both these guys on the show at different times. You'll have to go back and look at those. If you have any trouble finding them, send me an email. I'll send you the exact episode. I meant to actually look that up before we started with this, but I've been busy with the kids and stuff. Because I've had my man Ron, Greenscapes, Ohio. I've had him on before. I've had Daniel on several times with Lawn Care Unscripted. So how are you guys both doing? Daniel, you go first. Just tell them how you're doing and kind of what you've been up to. Then we'll move on to Ron in just a second.
Good, buddy. It's been pretty busy since Equip. Of course, we had fall hit pretty hard once we got back. And then mid-November, I was out of the country for a week, and then December is always insane, especially with, I've got a 7-year-old daughter, and, they got all the school stuff and parties and all this other crazy stuff. And you look up, and it's like, oh, man, we're in January now.
Wow, that's crazy. And you were doing missions work, right? That's why you're out of the country 2 different times, or what?
Yeah, so the week before Equip, I was in Ensenada, Mexico. We've been down there a couple times. There's a ministry we work down there with that is building, small houses for people down there. And this November, I actually spent the week of Thanksgiving in Nicaragua. We actually have a pastor on our staff that lives there, and it puts life into a different perspective as to what's important and what's not.
Amen. Yeah.
I've never seen poverty like that before. I mean, it breaks your heart. But sweet people. So it was great. We're doing a lot down there this coming year. So we're trying to get our feet on the ground.
That's awesome. Ron, what you been up to, bud, since the Equip Expo? Okay, guys, one quick tip before I forget about this. Not a quick tip, but a quick fact. That the first day we're at Equip, I haven't seen Ron for a couple of years, and he got like this Rockstar Hairdo, and then so like he was talking to my dad and stuff. I'm like, I know that guy, and then I didn't recognize maybe the first like 10 or 20 minutes since when I seen him, but once I actually heard his voice when I talked to him, like, oh yeah. But it's just like, that was funny because when you had a completely different kind of look last time than now. You have the Rockstar hairdo thing going on. So, I just wanted to mention that because I thought that was funny before we go more, but, yeah. So what you been up to since Equip, since we've seen you at Equip, what you been going up to?
Well, I'll tell you, I came back, finished out the mowing season, finished up all the cleanups, had a few more landscaping jobs to do, and then basically the past probably 3 weeks or so has just been working on firewood sales as much as I can in between snow. We've gotten some snow. It's pretty cold. I think it's about 15 degrees right now. So
that's cool.
Kind of laying low at the moment.
Oh,
that's too cold for me.
Yeah. So Daniel, tell them where you're out of real quick.
I'm in Northeast Georgia, so I'm
sure.
About 2 hours from where Tony is.
Yeah, a little nicer where you're at, I'm sure.
15 degrees, that's crazy. We don't see those temps like that in Georgia unless there's something's wrong.
Well, we'll see it. We'll see it up here, but
yeah,
not usually this early.
Yeah, and it's
January is typically our coldest month, I think, and it doesn't get a lot cold. I mean, it does, but it's rare, right? Like we might have a couple times a year where it gets down 0, a little below 0, but for the most part, it's it's crazy because the week before last it was 60 something degrees, so it just varies so greatly.
Oh yeah.
So
Well, I mean, it's like here. I think we're going to be in the 40s during the day and mid 20s at night. So, I mean, you've got kind of a swing there, but you can still get out and do stuff.
yeah, what's the deal?
Sure.
What's the deal with that this week? Like even here, it's supposed to be super cold, like most of the week. Well, not as much tomorrow, but then after that, the highs are only like 40s and 30s. Some come next weekend. So, Ron, I bet where you're at,
Right.
it's whatever that thing is that's moving across the country. It's going to get really cold over there,
Yeah.
right?
We're supposed to be in the teens during the day and like high single digits at night. So
Oh wow.
The difference
Yeah,
is, I would imagine people where you are actually know how to live in this. People
Well-
here are so unprepared that, I mean,
you would really think that, but it seems, early winter every year, it's like everyone's forgotten everything. They forget how to drive in it. They forget, just everything. The cars all over the road and in ditches. And, a couple weeks into the first few snows, we get it figured out again, but it seems like everyone forgets from year to year.
well, I mean, last year, for example, our school system, they shut down the schools because it was cold.
Sure. Well,
I
we
mean,
have that too.
it wasn't like in the negatives or something. It was like 25, 28 degrees or something.
We have a little bit of that here, but mostly it's in more urban settings, right, where the kids have to walk to school or things like that. If we get a wind chill that's well below zero, it's pretty nasty for the kids that have like a 20-30 minute walk to school. So those
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
things might close school, but I'll tell you what, honestly, around here we close more days in the summer, it seems, anymore than in the winter, right? Like on the excessive, like the really hot days, a lot of these schools that we have are, they're old, they're 3-4 floors, and those top floors get so hot with no air conditioning, no way to cool them off. We end up canceling school more in the summer, I think, than in the winter.
Huh. That's interesting. I mean, well, so do the schools there go year round?
No, they get out in typically like the first week of June, and they go back the last week of August.
Okay.
Yeah, so that it's usually those August days that get us.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. We don't usually see two-story schools here very often. Most of ours are one story. Maybe they'll have like a mezzanine or something, but
Sure, that's our newer schools are like that. It seems the older ones are, 2, sometimes 3.
What's a mezzanine? Is that like lasagna?
That sounds delicious.
it's a fancy word for loft.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. They have some big schools over here. They probably, some parts might be 2-story, but I'm not really sure. I've never been to school, to be honest, so I don't know. So how are you? So since you quit, Daniel, you've been doing some leaves, and Ron, you got to do some leaves before snow, right?
Yeah, our leaves are done here. Once once the snow falls, well, first off, you can't see them or find them anymore. But it's if you're not done by the second, third week of December, they're waiting until spring.
Gotcha.
Wow.
And so
I've still got houses with leaves.
Well, I've got them too, but you can't see them anymore. So
Yeah. Be blowing a lot of snow.
yeah, right.
So Ron, do you like shovel snow, like plow snow and stuff like that?
No, not anymore. I did years ago, but I've gotten out of it. The market is so flooded with, the chuck in the truck type guy where anybody with an old pickup truck and a snowplow is out there, just doing it so cheap because they're not. A lot of the neighborhoods here, we would have to buy like a special permit, like a sticker you put on your windshield in your truck to allow you to do work in some of these neighborhoods and some even small cities and stuff like that.
Huh.
So there's that, obviously licenses and insurance and all those things that the overhead that a legit business has. These guys come in and, they're knocking out driveways for $20 and it's just, you can't really make for what a plow costs anymore and a plow truck. There's not a lot in it. And also our snow is so hit and miss anymore, right? Like we used to have heavy winters. We'd have a couple feet of snow at times, but anymore we might get a couple inches, and then 2 weeks later we might get a couple more, and it gets cold enough to where it sticks around, but it doesn't typically come at once to where it would be like a good event to go plowing. It's like you get a couple inches and most people, they'll just drive over it. So it's not what it used to be around here. Not to mention, like, I don't want to go out in the middle of the night. I'm just, when I was younger, it was fun. I don't want to do it anymore.
So do you have
Yeah, I
Chuck in the
can't
truck? Does he
imagine doing
plow
that.
your driveway now? Chuck in the truck?
Actually, yeah.
Show me that insurance.
Yeah, right. No, I have a farmer friend down the street. He usually comes by and knocks it out if it gets too bad, but for the most part,
Is that Robbie on the tractor?
Yeah, yeah. But we probably have 5 inches on the ground right now, and and that's just in the grass. It melts
wow.
off of the pavement and stuff pretty quick. Those nice sunny days, even if it's 25, 30 degrees, that sun comes out, it starts to melt and compress pretty quick.
Well,
Man, I think it's probably been years since we've had 5 or 6 inches.
Well, you can have as much as you want if you come on up here. I'll help you load it up.
I don't mind it here because typically if it does snow, we'll get enough to cover the ground.
Yeah.
Typically we'll have ice problems here. And
Sure.
then the ground stays warm enough to where it might last a day or two. If
Right.
it stays longer than that, it's really uncommon.
Yeah, I wish that were the case here.
I kind of want it to come just because I want my business to like stop for a few days, and I want to, I don't know, not do my route for a few days.
You know what? It's funny because I feel the exact opposite way.
Oh, really?
I wish I could still be out there doing stuff.
Yeah, what do you do now, Ron? You do stay home, you play Farmville, or what?
No, we've got real animals to play Farmville with, but no, for the most part, when I stopped plowing, I picked up firewood sales, and it's a lot more lucrative than the snow plowing for us around here, actually. So with the the rising cost of people that have electric heat is so expensive anymore. Natural gas prices are going up. Around here, we still have people heating with like heating oil and stuff like that. So the cost of heating your home in the winter has gotten so expensive that it's really made the firewood market pick up like crazy. So
How are you getting
a lot of that?
How are you getting the wood?
So there are a lot of guys that wholesale logs that you can buy and then process yourself, but I've got a couple of guys that have tree services, and most of that time they're paying to get rid of the wood. So they can drop it. I've got a big field out front. They can drop it right there. And then I've got a local municipality. Every time a tree falls down or they need to clear some stuff out, they bring it here. So I really have no need to purchase any. I get everything for free.
That's handy.
It's great. And then just as I have time, as I feel like it, I'll go out there and cut and split. And everything I process this year will be for next year. And everything I'm selling now is from last year.
So do you like store it under like a roof somewhere? How does that work?
No, actually, I just split it and stack it just out in the open, and it does just fine. It actually needs that airflow, and the sun hitting it. My luck has been when I do try to cover it, it seems to stay more wet because it doesn't have the wind flowing through it, the sun coming down on it. So just keep it uncovered.
Wow. So like the rain on it and stuff is not a problem?
I mean, it is, but the rain dries quickly, right? The moisture, the wetness of the firewood is the moisture inside the tree itself. So that takes a while depending on the species. Ash sometimes can be dry enough to burn as soon as you cut it down, but oak might take 2 years to season enough to where you could burn that. So the rain isn't a big deal. Stuff that I plan to sell soon, I'll a lot of times cover the top of that just to keep it dry enough to where once it's delivered, it's ready to go right then. But don't have much of an issue. Just as long as I stack it in an open area where there's sun. I've tried stacking it in other areas under trees and stuff, and then it tends to get moldy and stuff like that. So as long as it's out in the open where it sees sun, it does great.
Oh, that's really cool. So what you kind of talked about this in your firewood stuff, but Daniel and you, like, what are some things that you've been thinking about recently, like kind of as you go into this time of year? Because I know for me, like I tend to think about a lot of stuff, like when it comes to this time of year, like things I want to change for next year. Or I know when I get into this time of year, I know a lot of people, you start to think about a lot of stuff, and some of that, sometimes that can be good and sometimes that can be bad. But what are some things that you guys are kind of thinking about, like as it comes to next season, like something that you want to do, or talk about something that that's even kind of worrying you or kind of concerning you right now, just like me. Like there's a big property that I dropped, and I plan to drop it, at the end of the season to to make my route more like I want it for next year. But just like anyone, it's a hard thing because like you're planning to drop these at the end of the year, but then I have these thoughts like, well, and then I had a couple other houses sell, so I want to get like 3 more of these type of properties like I want, and so there's always that little bit of worry in your mind, like you got to stick to your guns and like not take properties that you don't want, or certain jobs that you don't want, because I'm getting people calling me like outside of these neighborhoods where I'm planning to be in next year, and it's kind of right now I'm feeling like it's hard to like stick to your guns when it comes time and you chopped off some of this other stuff and you want to fill those spots, and it's but I got to just stick to my guns and do the right thing, and take extra work as an employee for my dad or something if I have time, and just be patient and wait for the right properties, the right jobs. But that's something that I've been kind of thinking of. But just like everyone, like it's hard, like you make these, when you make these changes, or even just when you go into winter, it's like when you do get calls, I got to make sure that I take the right ones, and those are something that I'm thinking about right now as I'm doing a lot of winter pruning and all this stuff. We kind of go into that season when the leaves kind of slow down. But that's something I've been thinking about. And even I was thinking Aaron, I want to get him on a podcast sometime, because I know he had like cut off his whole business and moved to another part of the state. So
yeah, I can't imagine that.
Yeah, so like what are some things that have been going on like right now, like currently this year? I just told you some kind of things I've been thinking about, but what are some things going on like in your mind, in your life, or like in your business mind in life? Because it rather than us telling past stories, we have other podcasts for that. I want to talk about like what are things that are like going on. What are you really thinking about, as far as your business for next year? Maybe you're not thinking about that at all, and that maybe that's great. But for me, I know when the phone stops ringing, you're not, every day's not just total chaos. You start to think about a lot of things, So
You get used to the chaos, and if it's not chaos, then you become uncomfortable.
yeah.
Right.
So Daniel, you go first. Talk about this for a minute, then we'll move on from.
So this year, this has been overall an interesting year. I had more. Some years you'll see problems and they'll trend a certain way. So, beginning of the season, I had people that were unordinarily complaining. I mean, it was almost like they were upset that they had to pay for a service. Some of these people were, they're at the age now where they can't do it themselves and they don't realize what things cost. But I encountered more of that. And then as the year went on, I had more problems this year with people paying their bills than I've had in probably since I started this 7-8 years ago. And of course, that's enough to make you, stressed out, because you got to go in and, some of these, and most of this is commercial properties. And, I have thoughts on commercial properties, but, they're supposed to be a net 30, and, 120 days later, it's like, well, we kind of got around to it. Like, no, you signed a contract that said net 15. So it is just, and it's not that the company doesn't want to pay the bill. It's just, they've got so many people running these departments now that nobody knows what's going on. I mean, this company has twice this year they have sent me duplicate checks that are about $1,300 a piece more than what the bill should have been.
Oh boy.
Which, it's a frustration in itself, because now I've got to call somebody and get them on the phone, tell them what they did. Do they want this thing shipped back to them? Do they want it destroyed? Do they, how fast are you going to get me my money now? Because now
Right.
you've got my money held up. It's that constant, cat and mouse game that seems to go along with commercial properties sometimes. And I'm slowly pulling myself away from those properties. I've dropped 2 of them, and I think I've got 3 left. So we'll see this year kind of how that goes. This winter, I talked about doing some more skid steer work, and I've been able to do some of that. And it's kind of opened my eyes as to, hey, I can make a whole lot of money a whole lot faster doing some of this. I mean, I went and underbrushed part of this wood line where one of my customers wanted to have a fire pit put in. And I think it took me half an hour. And I mean, she was so pleased. She paid me $100 more than what I quoted her for it.
Nice.
So I'm like, well, duh, let's get some more of this. So I've got several more of those lined up for even this winter. But our problem is we keep having these rain events. It'll rain, and then it's cloudy long enough to where the ground is still too wet to put a heavy machine like that on there. So hopefully we'll get some dry weather this week. Of course, as I'm saying that, I can hear it raining outside. So who knows?
Ron, what about you? You got something for this?
Well, I mean, this time of year is usually about the same. Just prepping equipment for next year, looking over, making sure any decisions on new stuff I might want to pick up or anything like that for next year. Stuff I might want to get rid of. Marketing this time of year, getting ready to start going pretty good with that. Still some estimates for spring landscaping work, getting those done. And then I've got, actually kind of along with what Dan was saying there, I've got an opportunity to take on another, it's a commercial account, but a friend is the general manager for the company. So it makes it a little bit easier for me to deal with them. We still have the same issues that I have with, most of the commercial accounts that I have, but he does a pretty good job taking care of me. But it's about 25, 30 minutes out of my normal service area. So I'm kind of tossing that around whether or not it's very lucrative. The account will be. So I want to take it, but I would need to, and it would probably take 4 hours or so to complete everything weekly. So I would like to have maybe another 4 hours worth of work in that general area so that I could make a day of it, move some other stuff around from last season and kind of make it to where it was a little more worth it to go out there just to take care of that one, which I mean, I could do that, but I'd like to get rid of the half an hour there and the half an hour back and just kind of go out there, spend the day and then come back at the end of the day. So looking to kind of expand into that area slightly. I don't want any more than, what I can fit in a day, but the usual stuff for the most part.
So could it be possible to put that account on your least valuable day of the week, and then like you're saying, if you could line up some other things there and kind of make that day for that type of area, and then maybe keep all your runaround ones that are close kind of on the more favorable days for that? Or would that have to be on a certain day, the one that you're getting, or what's the deal with that?
No, he doesn't. I can do it any day I want, which is the nice part of it, which is why I'm trying to, just like you said, just find a couple residential yards in the area. Well, a few, I guess, just enough to keep that busy, that day workout to where I could head out there, hit that commercial account and then pick up some stuff right around there and just be done for the day. And maybe hit something else from the week on the way back home or something like that. But as it stands right now, it would be kind of the closest one I have to that. If I put it after that one or before, it's still about a 20 to 25-minute drive from there to the next one. So it's definitely possible, but I would feel better just having a little bit more right around that one just to make it make more sense. And it's not like it's hours away, so it's not gonna kill me, but I just hate that drive time in the middle of the day.
Oh yeah, that I can't stand long drive times in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're getting paid good enough and if you enjoy doing it and enjoy the ride there and stuff, there's nothing wrong with it. Um, like I feel like everyone in nowadays, they feel like if you're driving more than a half a mile to your other yard, like you can't make any money and your business is trash. And I would say that's not true,
Well, unfortunately, I don't have it that good.
Yeah.
If that was the truth, I'd be in some serious trouble.
Yeah, you and me both.
Well, I'm just saying, like, you could, if the yard was good enough and you get paid good enough, I mean, you can drive to another state and mow that one yard, if it was
No, for sure.
works
for sure.
good enough,
Oh,
so
yeah,
like
everything's for sale at a price.
right.
My time costs X dollars an hour, and if you're going to pay that rate, then okay.
Yeah. I just so where I live is very rural, and then where my business is based out of, it's more of a city setting, but nothing's super close, right? So I already have typically about, and don't get me wrong, there's a few stops in neighborhoods where I park the truck and I do 3 or 4 at once and then move on. But I typically have maybe 10 minutes at least in between each one. And I've been trying to cut that down, and this is kind of going the opposite way. So it's kind of, I think it's more of a mental thing that I don't want to, get another one that's out of the way like that. But either way, it'll
I know
work.
what you mean. You make an exception for one, and then you're more likely to start making exceptions for more.
Yeah, because I'm going to say, well, I did it here. It's no big deal. And I'm right back. I've just been working to get that drive time down, working on the route density, making it a little bit better. I don't want to take a step backwards, I guess.
Yeah, I understand that.
Well, how much room, like, do you have room for it, or is it like, do you have like time that you need to fill anyway, or is this just a carrot dangling in front of you to distract you from what you should be doing,
No, so and I know you do this as well, and I typically this time of year is when I look back and say, Mrs. Smith isn't real, but Mrs. whoever, she was kind of a pain for this reason or that. I kind of look at those ones that maybe they're not really profitable, or they take a long time, or they complain, or they're too particular about this one thing, whatever reason they're kind of a pain for me. I'd like to replace those with new ones that, I mean, may or may not be, but you hope that they'll, be easier to deal with. So I've definitely got a few that I could send packing to replace this one. So it would definitely work out, and it would be more profitable that way as well. So it's just, can I make a day of it is what I'm trying to do, is move the things from this season around enough to where I have a spare day to put this one on, and then add some around it. So, and again, if I have to get one in the morning that's close on the way to that one, and maybe get one in the evening to make it work to where it's a full day, that's easy to do. But it would be nice to just kind of get out there and stay there. It's also the distance that it's the traffic, right? If I end up coming home at 5, when rush hour traffic is coming through, that area where this particular place gets very busy and traffic gets tough. So it might turn my half an hour of travel into an hour possibly. So I don't want that either.
That's true.
Or if I do have it, I want it to be worth it.
Yeah. Well, just stop by some houses on the way there and tell them, hi, I'm Ron in a truck, and I'll do it for $20, right? See, then you done fix your. Hey, $20 is $20, right?
That's true. It is.
Well, actually, but see, that's the thing. When if you actually pay attention, you're actually a real business owner. $20 is not $20. $20 is $5 once you get done with it.
Yeah, right.
You're not kidding.
So, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I guess you could always try it for a year. So have you went and actually measured it and looked at it, or is this just like a because I know, like, for me, like, if I go to another city and, like, looking at kind of a different type property than what I'm looking at, and I just get, like, the feels for that property, like the new car feels like, oh man, it'll be fun to like mow this section, or like I think, and so sometimes those can be faults in my mind, like, man, I can make a lot of money on this yard. I mean, I'll be quick on this section. Like, have you actually took some real measurements of like, this is how many feet this is like your slopes? Like, have you actually like really compared it? Because if you have, then you probably should do it if you really are making, a lot of money. I'm not saying you're not doing. I'm not trying to be rude or anything like that. These are thoughts that go through my head.
So it's a kind of a unique situation. The business is it's similar to Sam's Club, but it's not. It's a supplier for restaurants, right? So the local restaurants go there to buy anything from frozen foods.
They got chicken nuggets over there.
They probably do have chicken nuggets. Yeah.
Hey Tony, we've got one in Atlanta called Restaurant Depot.
Oh,
you do?
I don't know if I'm supposed to say it, but that's actually the company. Oh. So I've got one already, and this is a new one that they're building, and I think it's probably done now. But luckily they're laid out pretty similar, right? There's some retention ponds. There's the total plot is 50 something acres, but a lot of that is going to stay, trees and stuff like that. They're going to use about 20 acres. Now that is going to include, all the paved surfaces, the roads, the buildings, stuff like that. So I'm not exactly sure right now exactly how much square footage of grass there's going to be, but I know it's similar to the one that I've got now, and it's pretty profitable. So it'll be a good.
Oh, that's
one.
great. So you already mow one that's like the same type of setup or same brand or whatever?
Yeah, it's the same company. This is just a new location that they're building because this area is, like I said, it's pretty busy. Lots of restaurants around there, so it makes sense for one of these places to be closer to there. So same guy, my friend that I've known for years, his kids played sports with our kids and stuff like that. So I know him really well, which is why it makes it easier for me to, kind of deal with them. So it's basically like another one of what I already have.
Nice.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be tough to pass on.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially when you have the recipe.
Right, exactly. I know how the billing works. I know what to do with them, and that your situation where you were overpaid twice. I've had those happen as well, and it stinks, right? Because you waited maybe 2-3 months to get that check, and now you got to start over because they sent the wrong one.
Well, what I figured out about halfway through the season is most of these commercial accounts that I have up here, I have had a contact on the property at all of them, and I send them the invoice. They push it to their accounting department. It comes back, and then they send it to me. Well, what I've realized is they've gotten rid of most of these people. They're all in an office somewhere else that's a completely different company. So the company that I'm working for is using a bill pay company, and they're the ones that are not paying attention to any of the invoices.
Yeah, that stinks.
Like, you guys you're playing with fire here.
Yeah, that would be tough. I guess I'm pretty lucky there. They have like a home office. I forget, maybe Wisconsin, or I don't remember exactly where it's at, but I submit invoices to my friend who's the general manager there, and he takes it from there. He sends it to their corporate office or whatever, and then they just mail a check out. But it does take a while.
Yeah, well, there's no corporate facility that doesn't take a while.
No, and there's really no rhyme or reason. Sometimes 2 weeks later I have a check, sometimes 3 months later. So
oh yeah.
But it always comes, so I just wait. Stay patient.
Well, if they pay too much, just tell them you'll Bitcoin or Cash App the rest back to them.
Right.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Right.
Well,
I'll give you a credit for next month.
That is really neat, though. Like, that would be so cool to have a property like that. It's kind of, it would just be neat, like to have, massive ones like that are, industrial like that. You'd be like those guys you see on all the ads, like in all the lawn books, where they're just like out carelessly mowing for 50,000 acres of just like wide open property and just smiling as you go, right? So you can do that.
It's an autonomous mower.
Yeah, that if it weren't for all the people walking around and I'll tell you the other one that I currently have, it's in a not as nice city as this new one is going to be, and I mean you find some pretty crazy things around laying in the yard. We actually had.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, this city is the one that I currently have. It's more of a poor city. There's a homeless problem there, unfortunately, and this place happens to be by some railroad tracks, and under this bridge back there is where a lot of them tend to put up their tents and stuff like that. And
camping trip.
Well, yeah, kind of. Not the kind you want to go on though. But I've literally had to ask a guy to move he had an electric skillet. Plugged into an outside outlet on the building, and he was just
dang
in the building, cooking in an electric skillet. So an autonomous mower might work, but there's a lot of hazards there.
Well, he's at the right spot. If he could just get some of them frozen nuggets, pop them on that thing, man. Sheesh.
Right?
Eat some barbecue sauce, you'd be set.
It didn't smell bad. I'm not gonna lie.
So what do you do? Just weed eat it around his skillet? What do you guys call it up north? String trimmer at it?
I call it weed eating.
Oh,
yeah, no. He kind of saw me, and the thing is, the business, you can't help but feel sorry for these people, right? They're not all on drugs or bad people. A lot of mental illness, and so they're out there. But the business has to take a hard stance that we can't let, obviously we can't have people cooking pork chops in an electric skillet next to the building. But so you feel for them, but they get it. They see me coming, they kind of move out of the way and stuff. But I don't. It's tough, and some of them, they're not thinking clearly a lot of the time, and they can be
absolutely, yes,
like
yeah.
So
and I mean, all of us are a couple of bad choices away from being there ourselves.
Yeah, you bet, for sure.
So that's a thing. I feel like the general public, like with homeless, they feel like, okay, they're we're on like a different playing field or something, but that's in reality that's not true. They're choosing to believe a couple of lies maybe that we don't believe, and we all could be there, do a couple bad moves, on purpose or whatever, and be there, and then they fall into this believing that, hey, this is the only thing I can do. I can't like have a real job and like do that. Like this is the only way I can make it, and so as we talk to these people, because, we all run into people that are struggling all the time. I mean, we have to try to help them to see the opportunities that are around us in our life. And I think about that for me, because I think about, they're not seeing all the opportunity that's right around them. Literally every business and on every single corner is, since COVID especially, is willing to hire almost anyone.
Yep.
But then I think about that. Well, in my life, what am I not paying attention to? What is holding me back from really being successful? Like, am I doing the same thing? I'm just on a little bit different of a level, but I have that same problem as them. You know what I'm saying? These are things I think about, and that is just the truth. They're just with those type of people, they're just believing a few lies that the devil has for them, and they don't have good people around them, and I think that's something for all of us to think about, even in our own lives. That's why I'm talking to you guys tonight. We got to have people that are pouring positively into our business, not positively like, oh, you're great, you don't need to change anything, but no, like, what are some things that we're actually working on this year? And so that's kind of what we're talking about right now.
For sure. It's really tough because a lot of these, I don't have much experience around homeless people. I do volunteer at a food place locally whenever I can and stuff like that. But these people aren't like the ones around this restaurant. For the most part, they're not just down on their luck, or they lost their job, or they may or may not be drug addicts. There's a lot of mental health issues, right? And they don't want to hear anything, right? They don't want help. They don't understand. They're very skittish, kind of like a stray dog almost, right? They're scared of you. Like maybe people have taken advantage of them or hurt them or in the past. So they're very standoffish, and I don't think a lot of them have like the mental capacity to understand that, the place right up the street is hiring or anything like that, or that they could maybe keep a schedule or make it to a job every day. I think, unfortunately, a lot of these people just have issues that, prevent getting through to them and helping them and trying to, that place over there is hiring, that they don't even understand what you're saying, I don't think.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yes. Yeah, we can't just tell them, hey, over there is hiring, because they'll never, we can't win them like that. We have to do it in love, and it's a slow process, and maybe we're just one person that says one sentence in a building block, of getting them towards there. Just like people,
Sure.
There's billionaire guys that would come up to me and just be like, man, you stupid. Like, you could do this, this, and this, and like, buy my course and whatever, and I wouldn't listen to him because I think he's stupid. Like, what I'm saying? It's that same kind of thing. It has to be someone that's willing to walk the steps with me to get to there. You know what I mean? And same with our faith or anything. The guy that yells on the corner like, hey, you're going to hell. Like, I don't think he's really winning a lot of people over to the faith. I mean, potentially is. At least he's actually saying something to someone. But
Right.
But but we really, it's the whole, just like the Bible teaches, the whole speaking the truth in love, and that's a hard thing. I'm just saying on the back end, that is a reality, that everywhere's hiring, whatever. So we have to help them to walk out of this mentality. Just like my dad has said this before, but like poverty it's a mindset. It's not a number, So like it's a way of thinking, that those people, we have to help them to, love them, to help them to change that mindset. And they have to be wanting to do that. They have to take the first step. They take one little step.
Right, and
we take
that's
one
the
little
tough part.
step, yeah. So that's the thing. And so I'm just saying, I think about that in my mind, like, what is that one step that I need to take that I am not taking? And just like, am I just doing the same thing that I've always done? And if I am, why am I doing that? And like, what is one next step that I need to do? And so those are things that I definitely think about, during this time of year. And I'm making those changes. I let go of a property that I've had for a long time, and I had all these reasons in my mind why I should keep that, for so many years. But it's time to, make a step and to make a choice like that. And so, yeah, something going on. It's good. It's very good. I just got to stay the course and do the right things and possibly market or, whatever I have to do. And yeah, so that's cool. But all the Food Depot and all that, man, whatever you said it's called. I mean, I don't think it matters. We talk about the brand. Someone cuts the grass at every warehouse everywhere. Like, it's not really like
It's an
secret
awesome
or anything.
store.
It is.
It is a really cool store.
It's very cool.
I don't even know what it is. Can you like buy stuff there, or if you're not a restaurant, or like?
It's a membership place, kind of like Sam's Club, but
okay.
It's made to be a place for restaurants to come and purchase the stuff that they cook and serve in their restaurants. But I go there and pick stuff up too. Like if we're having a cookout and I can go get 40 pounds of chicken wings for $40 at this place instead of 110 at the grocery store. I go.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I knew.
It's mostly like bulk stuff. Like if you could go get like
you can always get that
bucket of salt, or
you can always get that 5 gallons of mustard that you always wanted, right?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. big gigantic tub of fortune cookies, or
right.
all kinds of fun things.
Well, that's neat. So like, you can go in there. I'm just picturing in my mind they're loading stuff in semis and bringing it to restaurants. That's what I'm picturing in my mind. But
no, it's all it's just like any other store. You go there and buy it, but it is a membership thing, kind of like Sam's Club. And I don't know that you have to be a restaurant to get it. I have a membership. I was given it by my friend who runs the place, so I don't know if I assume anyone can get one if they want one.
Well, dang. I mean, like, you should definitely take it then.
The company I used to work for had one, and I mean, we were a manufacturing facility, so
sure.
I would assume anyone can get one.
I mean, if they're going to give you a good deal on chicken nuggets, I mean, you should probably take that lawn.
I never turned out a good deal on chicken nuggets.
Yeah. I had something that I was just going to ask you guys, and now I'm forgetting already. Well, like I just thought of it just a second ago. But yeah, that's really neat. That's really neat. Oh yeah, I know what it was. Like this, the staple of these type of warehouse places. I guess that people call it a staple. Like people talk about Costco and like get the hot dog and stuff. I still have never been to Costco in my life before, but now I want to go. It's like on my bucket list. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, you're
So
missing out.
there's a couple things on my bucket list, but that is one of them.
We
Their
can
pizza is
meet over
delicious.
in Athens one day and go to the Athens Costco.
But I don't have a membership to kick my butt out. I'm trying to pay money. They won't let me come in, so I don't know how to do
I
this.
can
You know?
get you in there.
I think my parents actually have a membership, but again, I still never been there because you're right, Daniel. They did put one over in Athens. So Ron, to explain this, what there's a word for that I that I don't know right now. For context, there we go. So like for context, there's a town that's about an hour away from me, also about an hour away from Daniel, like in between us, and they
Where the University of Georgia is.
yeah, like where the Bulldogs and
Okay.
stuff, and I guess they just put a Costco there because there's like within like a couple of hours of me, there's no Costco, like so I haven't really, to drive 2 hours or more to somewhere and then buy the membership and stuff, I've never really done it.
Sure.
But yeah, I want to go sometime because people talk about that hot dog. Is that hot dog really as good as people say, the Costco hot dog?
Absolutely, it is.
Oh, it is?
I've never tried the
And
hot
it's a,
dog, but
it's
their
a
pizza's
hot dog
great.
and a drink for $1.50.
Oh wow, that's a good deal. I always go and they have bottled water in a machine, and it's only a quarter.
Yep.
Oh,
And they've got great pizza. Like the Costco, they make it there, and it's really excellent.
My
What?
wife and I used to live about a mile and a half from a Costco.
Oh, boy.
And that's what, when we wanted pizza, we'd just call up and order a pizza from Costco and go pick it up. I mean,
It's so good and it's
that's
cheap.
the best pizza.
so is it like you can just like walk in like a little restaurant type thing, like Quick Trip? Is it kind of like that?
Yeah. And you know what?
Which I don't
You
know if Ron
actually
knows what
don't-
Quick Trip is, but Daniel knows what it is. Or
Yeah, I'm
racetrack.
not sure what that is.
So Quick Trip is like Daniel, would you say it's kind of like it's kind of like a cool gas station? Kind of like
Oh, sure.
yeah.
So I worked for Quick Trip, so I can tell you exactly what it's like. It's a gas station that is now one of those. It's trying to be like think Buc-ee's but much smaller.
Sure.
Their goal is to drive you inside, but they got people in there making different foods for you and
Yeah.
400,000 selections of everything you can imagine. So
And
We've got
yeah,
something
they're pretty
similar
big in
here, like
Atlanta.
the Midwest version of that called Sheets. And
yes,
Yeah.
yes, I think it's
here.
like Sheets. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's cool. So is it kind of like that where they like make pizza for you like that?
Yeah, similar.
Yeah, similar. I think I guess the difference at our Costco would be that they have like maybe like 12 or 15 tables that you could like sit down and eat at, and you kind of go up to the counter and order what you want, and then they make it, or if it's something that's already made, you just grab it. But yeah, similar.
Now, I don't know if they still do this or not, but we used to, when I worked in manufacturing, we'd walk over to or drive over to Costco and eat lunch there all the time because it was cheap. And we'd just walk in the exit and walk up to the thing. We didn't have to have cards or anything.
I assume you could probably do that. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I've never tried that. We have a membership, but we don't go. I bet we maybe go 4 or 5 times a year, and it's typically to stock up on the stuff that's not food for the most part. We like
Yeah.
paper towels, toilet paper, cleaning supplies. That's actually seems to be a good deal.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't. I haven't found that buying groceries there is economically a good choice because
Depends on how many people you are
right.
feeding. I mean, we have 3 houses on the property, so we've got what 1, 3, 5. There's 8 people in the 3 houses, so I mean, we'll go up there and buy. You can buy a whole loin and cut it into your own steaks and save money. You're buying $100 and something steak essentially and cutting it up. But,
Sure.
in the end, it becomes a little bit cheaper.
They always get me on like, do I really need 3 gallons of ketchup? But
Of course you do.
and I'm like, well, it seems like a good deal, but
Yeah. So you got that garage full of toilet paper or what?
I'll tell you, we've got a good bit. We're not going to be, caught running out again. Like, remember when COVID toilet paper was so hard to find?
Oh, yeah, and you could only buy like one roll at a time, even when you could buy it. It's like gatekeepers there for the toilet paper.
We
Right.
keep a minimum of 20 cases of toilet paper and paper towels on hand at all times.
You do for real?
Yep. My grandfather did that for years and years and years. And I don't know why, he was just obsessed with it. And my grandmother ever since is like, yeah, we got to keep 20 of this and 20 of that.
Yeah.
I guess
Okay.
I find myself going down that path too, which is why it's not always smart for me to go to Costco.
Well, why is the toilet paper the thing? Like, okay, there's one thing left on Earth, if it's the apocalypse, you got to make sure you have toilet paper, right? Well, what about like food? I feel like it's just so funny. That's the thing. Why is toilet paper the thing that, like, the public? Why is it that they think of
pick something at random? It's like, oh, this is not going to be around anymore. Everybody go get it.
Right. Well, it would be tough to pick. Everyone needs toilet paper, but
It
everyone
was
doesn't
probably
need the
Charmin
chicken
putting
nuggets.
all that out in the on the net, saying, "Oh, everyone's going to be out of toilet paper, so they can get them some more business."
a little reverse marketing there?
Yeah.
And toilet paper, just a PSA, public service announcement for you guys out there. If you're young and you haven't like bought you're not an adult at your own house yet, or if you haven't paid attention, toilet paper brand does matter.
Yes,
Oh
it
boy.
does.
It does. Don't just buy the one like, I never heard of this brand and it's really cheap. No, don't buy that case of that.
Especially if you're married, you find out what the acceptable brand is, and then that's what you buy.
Yeah. And I found that I think Kirkland is the Costco brand.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We go there and buy like I think it's like 96 rolls in a package. And it is the acceptable brand. It's
Yep.
not Charmin, but it's not it's not like sandpaper either. So. But it is, you do get a good deal on things like that, I think there.
Now, Costco has a new brand it's still the Kirkland toilet paper, but it's a new level. It has a light blue label on it.
That's what we
Oh.
got last time.
That's the one that's supposed to be more like Charmin rather than like the dark blue and purple one.
Yeah. It's closer. It's not Charmin, but it's closer.
So what do y'all like do anything else? Like, Ron, do you do anything else like during the winter? Is that like when you do like your hobbies, or do you have any hobbies, or do you still incorporate them in the summer? Those kind of things. What about you, Dan? Do you like, because all of us lawn guys like, oh, I'm going to do this winter. I'm going to do this. Like, is there any of those things that like, have you been doing the thing like this winter at all? What is it?
I don't know that I do. I don't do a lot over the winter, to be honest. I mean, I do some other things. Like I do some eBay stuff, which mostly for fun. Like I enjoy it. But like I most of my hobbies and stuff are outside, and around here, like it's 15 degrees. I don't want to do much outside. So this is kind of crazy, but I enjoy like deep cleaning the house over the winter. I'll pick a room and I'll just go through everything and like sorting through stuff, organizing, getting rid of stuff. I do a lot of that over the winter, and I enjoy it for some crazy reason.
That's really cool. What were you saying, Daniel? You saying you doing that too?
I said I just finished doing that to our house.
Yeah.
That's neat. Yeah, that's really cool. So, Ron, what are your hobbies outside of lawn care? Like, even when is the acceptable weather to do the thing?
Well, I still have to do a lot of it over the winter, but like we have a lot of animals, pigs and chickens, and
that's cool.
Sometimes lambs and goats and things like that. So, I mean, they need taken care of no matter how cold it is. So we do, a lot with that. And up until, just recently, the kids are all in college. 2 of them are back home right now for the holidays, but there's not a lot. Like, I was always coaching their sports teams and doing stuff with them, but now that they're out for the most part on their own, I'm kind of cleaning the house and doing stuff like that. I guess I need to find a new hobby, to be honest with you.
So what about that hairdo? Is that like
was yeah, that's no longer around. The Rockstar haircut. It was, I don't know. I think once you reach a certain age, which I'm 45 now, I think you just get this idea of like, I always wanted to see what would it be like to have like long hair. So I just did it, and it wasn't good. It's not good.
You should have went with the man bun. Did you do that?
Look, I tried it, sure, but it's not something that I would leave the house with. It's not for me. We're back to normal now, but I don't know. You just get this feeling like as you get, like, the kids are grown up and doing their thing, and you start to feel old. So you try to do some stuff that. I
believe it. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the midlife crisis thing, like, that's real. Like,
it is. Yeah, 100%.
Like, even like, even recently, which he might listen to this, so he would think this is funny probably, but like, I don't know, maybe it was like a year ago or something. And my dad, he's I don't know his exact age, but he's like mid to upper 50s, and he just decided, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna buy a brand new dirt bike, right? Like, right now's the time. He's never had one my whole life, but he decides like a year ago, I'm going to buy a dirt bike. So now he has this dirt bike, right? It's a Yamaha dirt bike. It's cool. I mean, I rode it, but it's just, I just thought it was interesting because, like, is it just that maybe you have a little more time, which I know he's a little bit even ahead of you, but like, I wonder what it is, or like, what is it? Because like, it seems to happen. People's mind, people like buy Corvettes, and I don't know, they do
Sure.
They do interesting things.
Realize that you're probably halfway through,
Yeah,
and
right.
you're on the downslope, and it's kind of a scary imposition there. I mean, I'm 42. I'll be 43 at the end of the month, and I've thought about it more over the past year and a half than I always thought I was invincible.
Sure. Yeah.
Now I feel like an old man.
Yeah, that's what happens, and I think, Tony, it's like, because listen, I've been fighting the urge to buy a dirt bike, if I'm being honest. I think you're just like, for one, you're trying to hold on to your youth, and two, I think maybe you think about, I always meant to do this. I guess I better do it now before I can't do it. I think there's some of that, at least for me as well.
And I mean, something, like, my he's not like jumping it and stuff. Like, I mean, he goes out with his friends and rides on these trails and stuff. I mean, it's a cool thing. I mean, I'm not saying it's a problem. I just think it's just interesting. You know what I'm saying?
I think we all get there eventually, and I don't know. Your mindset kind of changes.
Yeah, and I guess maybe you have a little more time at that part in your life too, and
Sure.
that helps as well.
Well, I think a lot of us. So I had 4 kids, and once the kids were born, you basically put a lot of your wants and desires aside because you've got these kids to raise, and life becomes them. Everything's focused around them. And then once they start to get out on their own and they don't need you as much, now you're like, wow, I've got all this time. I'm not at a band recital or a Christmas concert or a baseball game and every single day. Now I've actually got time. I've got to fill it with something. What am I going to do?
Well, Ron, if you got snow out there, maybe you should get a snowmobile. Those are cool.
You know what? They're very cool. The problem is we just don't typically get the snow anymore. From when I was a kid to now, the amount of snow we get is, I mean, it's really drastically reduced. I mean, when I was a kid, snow was all winter long. It was up over my knees. Granted, I was much shorter then, but we just don't get the snow anymore. And I think last year or the year before, it maybe snowed twice. Most of the time, it was just mud.
So, Daniel, what about you? Do you have what are your hobbies outside of lawn care? I don't care what time of year it is.
I've got, I mean, the biggest one I've got right now is just working on our land.
That's cool.
It gives me, and it's funny. What was I doing the other day? I had finished up something, and it was like burned out at the end of the day. You're stressed out. It's like, man, I need to decompress for a few minutes, and you just go back there, and you're, working skid steer, and you're having to think about that. Then you start looking around, and it just kind of calms you down a little bit. And I felt, man, I need to get back here and do this more, just because it relaxes me more than anything else.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And you have a sweet skid steer that you got a couple years ago. That's neat. So do you have Daniel? Do you have a front brush mower that goes on there on the skid steer?
Yeah. So I've got it's by a company called Brown. It's not the same people that make the trencher, but it will eat up to a 6-inch diameter tree, and it'll knock over something bigger than that, just from experience. But I wouldn't suggest doing that on a regular basis. But that was the whole reason why I got the skid steer. Is we have acres and acres of not forest but woods essentially, and we are it's under conservation. So we're trying to let these trees grow to maturity, and part of that is maintaining the forest floor. And our quote unquote forest has not been underbrushed in probably 30-40 years, so it was quite overgrown. And after pricing that job out, it was about the same price as buying a skid steer, so that's the way we went. But
well, and you found a deal on the machine. You didn't just roll down to the John Deere dealership and just say, "Hey, I want a skid steer."
No, I shopped it pretty darn hard. Yeah, I found a pretty sweet deal. A firefighter a couple hours from me I think he got it and thought he was going to do something on the side and never did. But hey, it's all right. He took the depreciation for it.
Yeah, there you go.
So tell people what did you got? What model is it? Just give people. I know we talked about it before, but just go ahead and give them a quick overview of the model.
I have a lightweight. It's a John Deere 316G. So it's their compact skid loader, I think is what they call it. And I don't even know what all the numbers are. I know I bought it because it has a small enough engine to where I don't have to put DEF in it.
Okay. Okay.
I guess it's that way everywhere in the country now, but even on this outdoor equipment now, if it has a diesel engine above, I think it's 75 horsepower, you have to have that diesel exhaust fluid that you put in there. What a nightmare. So I didn't want to deal with that. But it's opened up. It's been interesting. It's kind of opened up some other opportunities. In fact, I've got a grapple showing up this week, and then probably end of the month, beginning of next month, we're gonna. Our church has been working in a town that got hit by the hurricane pretty hard, and we're just gonna send it out there and let them work it for a little while and put that thing to use.
I gotcha. Well,
yeah,
that's cool. So is it someone that's going to run it, approved operators?
Yeah, there's a guy. So in Georgia, we have some different disaster relief companies, and one of the not company, but one of the organization is the Georgia Baptist Disaster Relief. And we've done a bunch with them, and my dad has volunteered with them, and one of the supervisors actually lives right behind me. So I've let him take it multiple times, and he brings it back better than it left with, so I don't worry about it at all.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Don't just they're going to go over there and play with it for a little bit. So that's not what you're doing. The guy that's driving it,
Oh, yeah. No, I don't let, I wouldn't let just anybody jump in that thing.
because that's nice. I mean, people, if people don't know the numbers, like, so if you're below 75, if it's a 50 some horsepower, whatever it is, I mean, that's still, it's a big unit. It's a skid steer. It has tires, right? Not tracks, but
No, I'm on tracks.
okay. So you do have tracks. So it's what you guys would think of out there as a, if you Google John Deere track loader, that would be what it is. It's not green. It would be kind of yellow and gray, the construction side of it. But isn't that correct, Daniel? Is that how yours is?
What? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Like, for people out there, like, it's cool. Like the John Deere. This is still a pretty big machine. It's a track loader. Whatever it is, even if it's a 40, 50 some horsepower, it's a big unit on tracks, and it's gray and yellow. It's not green. Like some people probably would think of that, like their construction side of it is yellow and gray or whatever. They probably have a more accurate of the type of yellow, whatever it is. But for whatever reason, like they have them like kind of the colors look more similar to some of the other case and this and that. And so it's a cool unit. And then you bought it as like a setup. This guy had a couple of attachments and like a trailer and stuff, and so that's really cool. And you've had it for a couple of years now, didn't you?
Yeah, I think it's 2 years, I guess I've had it. Gosh, that's gone by fast. Yeah, it's been 2 years, so.
Also, something else I want to ask both you guys before we get off here, because I know I've kept a lot of your time. We still have a lot of things we could talk about, but what do you guys plan to do this year, like with Daniel, like with your podcast, or Ron, like with your YouTube channel? And I know Ron has something else special like coming up that he can't talk about or stuff like that. But like, what do you guys plan to do? Because it's cool, Ron. You show a lot of stuff on your YouTube channel. It looks like you're at some mower dealership every day. The way that you like always filming, random like machines and putting them up there and stuff. And Daniel, so the podcast, like, because I know that's another thing that for sure any of us guys that like do this kind of stuff, that is something that you definitely think about during the winter. Like, what am I doing like through the year? I know, at least for this is what I think about. Like, and what I'm doing, is it like, am I like even making a difference? Does it matter even like what I'm doing or the effort I put into it? Am I just a weird guy that's like talking myself in my truck, making a podcast or like filming a video or something? Like, should I be doing this? Or those, like, I definitely have those kind of thoughts, like during the winter, like if I'm being honest, like, is what I'm doing, should I do like what I did last year? Cause, I think like, when it's in the busyness of the season, we're just, we're doing maybe we make some, podcasts or videos or stuff here, there, but, and that's cool, but we're not really like thinking about it, like thinking about it, because we're not really thinking about anything, because it's just, we're just going, so what do you guys like foresee coming up like in this next year? That, because I mean, what is it, like 9 or 10 months we'll get to see each other at the expo again. Shout out to promo code Tony this year. First time I got got a promo code, and it already works and everything. I tested it a couple of months ago. So anyway, promo code Tony gets you 50% off your ticket. But anyway, what are some things that kind of running through your guys' head when it comes to that side of things? What are you thinking about the next season coming? Because that spring, this first spring, get out there and do first mows and stuff, like there's a good opportunity coming up for that kind of thing, like sooner than you think, So Daniel, you go first. What are some things you thinking about, like for your podcast this year? What are you planning to do with it? Like, what are those kind of things?
Well, this year I'm working on an actual schedule for things. It's one of the problems I found last year is if I don't organize myself with something, it's just kind of whenever I can do it, it'll always end up on the back burner. So if I don't make that time for sitting down and actually talking about something, then I more than likely won't, or it'll just be me rambling for 30, 45 minutes, which I can do pretty easily.
Me as well.
I've already started. What's that?
Me as well. I can do that too.
Well, we talk to ourselves all day long anyway, so why not
Right.
into a microphone? But I have started actually trying to think up some different topics and things, and then making some notes to myself. Because one of the things that I have really learned through this podcasting thing is if I don't keep myself on track with something, I will veer off into a lane, and then I feel like I'm not providing the quality information for the listener.
I got you. Something that's funny, like even if I'm not, because I haven't been big into YouTube the last couple of years, just because I just haven't taken a lot of time to like edit that kind of stuff. My kids are small, and I'm trying to, I'm not sure exactly what or if or how I'm gonna take it like this year, yet. Which we got to kind of figure these things out, but I don't have it figured out. But I did decide that I am gonna do a podcast every Wednesday, like from now till like the end of this year, and then revisit it, after that. And so what I decide I'm going to do is even if I record a whole bunch of episodes, schedule them out so that no matter what, one comes out on every Wednesday. And then if I want to do more than that, if I get it filled out, the every Wednesday on the calendar filled out, even, far in advance, and I want to sprinkle some other ones in there, do that. But, I tend to like, get on these kicks, and maybe I'll make a podcast and I'll make like 20 of them in a row, and then I'll make 0 for months, like,
Yeah, see, I'll do the exact same thing.
so that's something I'm trying to do. And it's hard because like tonight when I make this podcast, I'm like, man, it was great talking to these guys. I want to put it out right now, but I'm like, nope, we got to schedule it. It's going to come, I did another interview with a guy yesterday or day before, so that means, I got to let that one go on Wednesday, and then this one will go the next Wednesday, like trying to be a little more scheduled with that, because I think that does make a difference. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're on YouTube or podcast or whatever. Even on Apple Podcasts, it'll say how often, like nowadays, if you look on there, it'll say if that podcaster, like if he updates weekly or bi-weekly or that kind of thing. And so that's, it's kind of important. And also another thing that's like all the time, like if in my mind, like if this is not really that subject, but you'll understand in a second. But I'll be, every time when I'm like going to, clean the leaves out of this front yard or clean the leaves out of the backyard, in my mind, like I always like tell myself what I'm about to do. Like, all right, I'm going to go trim around this. I'm going to clean leaves out from behind there. And I told my wife, like, oh yeah, it's normal. Like everyone talks to themselves while they take care of these lawns. She's like, no, they don't. so yeah. So like
Sounds like the commentary in my head.
yeah, so so even if I'm not recording a video, I'm just out there talking to myself like, all right, we're about to mow this front yard, and yeah. It's really easy when you're not videoing or anything. You can just imagine that it's like it's working out perfectly how you're like commentating it. It's all edited in just right. Have you guys ever talked to yourself when you're out mowing on those long summer days? Do you ever start to talk to yourself?
Every day.
Yeah, it happens for sure.
But anyway,
if you start arguing with yourself, you've been out there too long.
It is crazy. Like some of those, depth of the summer days, like you can, if you get really hot, like if you did one of those like 6 a.m. till long night kind of days, like that night or even sometimes like that next day, you can kind of have this thoughts like, what was I thinking about a minute ago? Because I don't even remember.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
I've had that problem for years and years and years, and it became almost an issue because I would be halfway through a sentence and forget what I was talking about.
Yeah.
But I still do that sometimes, but it's not nearly as bad as it used to be.
So Ron, what are you thinking, or like back to like the content thing? What are you planning to do this year? Because I know some things you can't tell, but you could tell just kind of some of your general ideas of what you're thinking, or like at this point, what are you thinking? I know it's, nothing's set in stone, but like, what are you thinking? Like when it comes to next year, you're gonna like make mowing videos every day? Like what is your kind of thoughts like around what you're gonna be doing like online next year or mowing season?
That's a good question. I don't really have a clear path as of right now, other than to try to remain consistent. I think that has been, in years past, has been an issue for me. Like you're saying, you might make 20 videos and then not make any for months. So I've started, like, when I've got a free day on the weekend or something, or over the winter especially, I kind of sit down and make like a bunch of content at once and then schedule it out. I like, as far as the Greenscapes YouTube channel, every week, Friday, 5:00, it's what my analytics says is when most of my viewers are online. So I set it one a week for, a Friday at 5:00, and I might make 8 or 10 videos in a day, and then I'm good for 2 months as far as, one a week goes. And then the shorts, I've really gotten it down to a system. I've done, I think, 130 days in a row now, right around there. I've done at least one short where, you make one video that's 10 minutes long, you can probably get 50 shorts out of that video. Just take a different piece out of it, and so I just being able to focus on sitting down when everything's feeling right and you're in the mood to it, and just do as much as you can, at once, and then kind of schedule it out. I think being able to schedule that stuff out is huge. So I'll definitely continue to do that. Just try to stay consistent. And I don't know, mowing videos every day, maybe. I mean, it's possible. I definitely have some stuff coming up that's probably going to lend itself to some more content, which will be fun. But I don't know. I kind of, it's fun for me right now. So I enjoy it. So I don't know. I guess if it turns into, like, if it starts to feel like work and I don't like it as much, maybe that'll change. But for right now, just having fun with it.
I got you. That's really good advice. So like, so kind of like what I was saying is, if you're going to make a bunch, just schedule it out, and that way it's covered even if you weren't able to be there, at that time. How are you? So Ron, if you're filming stuff like in Sideways, and I know Phil does this too, but I haven't asked him exactly how do you do it. If you're filming something like in Sideways video and you want to steal some shorts out of it, how are you making it look, be upright format and like have it look right? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. So I'll be completely honest with you. For the most part, I know I know Phil's doing that, and there are places that will do it for you. But for me, typically,
here we go.
like,
Ron's about to sell us his course. All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
For just $4.99.
For $19.95, I can show you, Tony. No, honestly, it's very, my approach is very old school, right? So honestly, if I'm shooting like a landscape style video, not the, like a Sideways video, with like my DSLR or even a phone, I just have a mount on there where there's another phone vertical. To be honest,
I gotcha. So you're dual
so,
filming everything.
Yeah, well, a lot of the time, yeah. Or a lot of the time, like, a lot of my content is just focused on equipment, because I've found that it seems to be evergreen, right? Like, if I upload a video of me talking about my day or whatever, the people that watch it that day or within the next couple days, that's basically all the views it gets.
Mm-hmm.
But if I upload a video and title it, John Deere, whatever, there's always people looking for information about that mower. So those videos continue to get views for years and years and years. So a lot of my content's just focused around a piece of equipment. So if I can walk around it, show some of its features, maybe the price, maybe talk about it a little bit for 30 seconds and throw it up as a short, they continue to get views. Same as the long form videos as well. As long as the specific piece of equipment is in the title, there's lots of people out there that want to know more about that piece of equipment. If they're considering purchasing that, or just want to know more about it, they search it on YouTube or search it on Google, and it brings them to the video. So it's very easy for the style of stuff that I've been making the past year or so. It's really just show the equipment, and then like a good description that has a lot of keywords that would bring people searching for that piece of equipment to your video. It's just flooding the description and with that type of stuff, and then it's very easy for what I do.
Yeah, that's really cool. So that's really neat. So you're making some stuff that when people start researching that thing later, then of course I know for me, like every few days at least, like there's someone that will watch some video, I don't know, some product or something that they're buying, that I did a video on 5 years ago, and you get that comment every few days like, this is literally the worst commentary, the worst video I have ever seen.
Yeah.
I'm like, yep, see, my content's nice and evergreen. It's just as bad now as it was then.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I watch a lot of these videos about people who give advice on how to make content and things like that. And a lot of times it's videos like you're talking about, and I've tried a few things, and I don't know if it's the right thing to do, but if I misspell a word, like in the title, I've done it on purpose because 20 people will tell you, hey, it's spelled like this, idiot. Like you don't even know how to spell, which lends itself to, people interacting with the video, and it makes comments, which makes the video get more views. So occasionally I'll, screw up a little bit, but it's typically on purpose. I'm not saying that I haven't messed up by accident too, but like I made a short of a road grader, an old road grader from the 50s. It was like scraping some dirt. And I titled it, I think, like 1958 Galleon road grader. Well, it was a Caterpillar, but it was an honest mistake. I didn't mean to make that. But you wouldn't believe how many people felt the need to explain to me that I had called the equipment the wrong brand, it worked out great because it got a ton of views because everyone kept commenting.
Yeah,
so
that's really
videos
cool.
where it wasn't great, they turned out to be the best ones sometimes.
Yeah. So Ron, your plan is every Friday, like throughout, to recap that through this whole season, you're releasing one, and then you're doing a short every single day. Is that right?
Every day, yeah. But I'm not actually doing this stuff every day, right? Like I've probably got all of January and part of February as far as long form videos on Friday. Those are probably already scheduled, and then I don't know how many shorts I'm ahead, but it was, like you go to Equip, I try to get a short video of everything, like hundreds. So they're just waiting. They're scheduled and ready to go.
And then I think for me, also though, something that I gotta kind of keep myself away from too is, there are several years where I would just make videos because I knew that I had to put them out on day that I said, and I feel like I definitely am wasting some time when I fall into that attitude because, like, for example, this podcast, if I just said I'm going to put one out of me rambling by myself every day, if I could do one a week where I have you guys or another guy on here with me, those ones make way more impact, be way more beneficial for the people out there to make one a week that people actually like to listen to than for me to crank them out every day and just making myself feel good that I'm cranking them out every day, but it's not actually really good, good podcast, good content. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
There's more interaction.
Yeah, like that's why I've been trying to do like as far as my podcast goes, I've been trying to do it with someone every week, and it is not hard to find. Well, it is hard to line up schedules with people, but there is, a lot of options that we can have on. Obviously it's different in a YouTube video, but if you think about like which fruit, is the juice worth the squeeze? You know what I mean? And like the ones like this with you guys on here tonight, way more people will listen to this than they will if me just rambling about, some thought, in my truck or whatever, some of those are good because if it actually is a real thought that I really want to talk about a certain thing, I don't want to talk all about this subject, tonight with you guys because you guys just be sitting there and be talking about some subject, So I mean, there's a place for both of it, but I feel like I got to kind of be careful with that. You know what I'm saying? So like, if I only did one a week and I want it, obviously if we think, oh, is this my 100%? We'll never put anything out. So I'm not, you gotta not fall into that bucket over there either.
That's the easiest one for me to fall into.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yes. Yeah. It would still be better to just put one out, just throw something up every day. That would still be better than, only making something once a month or never or whatever. So yeah, there is that bucket too. I'm just saying, just like watching from what, just making a lot of podcasts, a lot of YouTube videos. I feel like we need to, okay, what is something that is good quality, and at what schedule, at what rate can we do that good thing, because if someone checks out my podcast and they see I have a bunch of episodes and they check out 2 or 3 of them, they didn't like, they weren't my best, but I had something there, they're going to drop. But let's say, there are some podcasts that maybe they come out with a podcast once a month, and people, for whatever reason, they've done a great job of catching people's attention, and like people are just waiting for that one a month to drop. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so I those are things I think about. Like, how do I get even if I can only make one podcast a week, how do I make it so that when my podcast pops up, people want to listen to it? There's no secret. There's no secret to any of this stuff, just like there's no secret in business or whatever. I have to make my podcast good if I want people to listen to it. Like, that's it. There's no easy button, and other people, that are out there that have, brung it to more levels than me, well, they might be doing a better job of explaining things. They might be better. Like, I feel like people on social media are so quick to blame, well, this guy gets views because he hit some perfect niche or something. And some of that possibly is true, but most of the time, it's just like we see those guys, with the 100 crew business, and we just think, oh, well, he's just, it's easy because he's riding around in his truck and not actually weed eating now. But no, but the truth is, there's a lot that goes into getting it to where that is. And so I want to figure out, audio-wise podcasts. That's why I have you guys on here tonight. Both of y'all are pretty heavy hitters, great guys. And I figure, hey, that's something I know right now. That's something I know that I can do. If I can line it up with people, be more likely to listen to it. So those are some. Does those thoughts make sense to any of you guys? Either one?
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's also important, and I guess in our lawn care channels on YouTube and stuff like that, there's a lot of people who, I guess it depends if is your main focus your business, and then social media is something that you do in addition to it, or is your main focus social media and your business is something that you do that continues to provide content for your social media. And I think a lot of people anymore, there's a lot of people that are focused on social media itself. They happen to have a lawn care business as well. But I think if we were able to put the time and attention into, like, YouTube, for example, and then if we treated our lawn care business like we do social media and vice versa, we would probably be a lot more successful at YouTube because we're putting in all that time and effort into that versus, the other. And I think there's a lot of guys who are, they have a lawn care business, but their focus is the social media side.
I agree.
Right.
I agree with that. And yeah, that's a choice that we have to make, and that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I'm okay with not being a full-time YouTuber right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm fine with that.
Sure.
I don't even know 100% if I would want that, but
Right.
but like, but as far as just, trying to stay in the game just a little bit, at least with a podcast, because I love listening to podcasts. These are just some things I'm thinking about. I'm trying to, do one a week and make it worth people's time. But that means I gotta hold myself to it, though, and you have to do one a week, and you have to make a valuable one once a week. And obviously, other people, like when we're reviewing our own thing, we don't see the same exact value maybe that other people see.
Sure.
Yeah. And so like this, like there's no editing really or anything like that, but yeah, and I think that we talked about some great thoughts tonight. As far as like it's wintertime and that kind of thing. Um, and so to wrap this thing up, Daniel, do you got any? I know do you have any more thoughts on this subject before we wrap this up? Because Ron kind of gave some of his thoughts. What about you?
Well, I mean, I think the way I have started looking at it is I find the content that I enjoy consuming, and I model what I would put out to not copy what they do, but you're joining that part of the community rather than um, it's easy now to see a lot of people are just on there for just to make a video, but it's also very easy to see uh, the genuineness of the other side of things. Like there's a guy that fixes up old cars. Is Vice Grip Garage, and this
VCG.
guy, I think he's in his mid 40s. He's just kind of he's a good old boy, but he is honest as the day is long. And I found myself consuming hours, and I mean, his videos would be 2.5 hours long sometimes.
Right.
I'll sit there and watch the whole thing because I trust what he's saying. I enjoy the way that he is connecting with his audience, and I find the subject entertaining. So if I can take that recipe of, hey, um, I don't need to care about what, you know, everyone else thinks over here. I've got this community of people that I want to encourage or I want to be in fellowship with, and that's my main focus. Great, if you want to come over here, that's cool, but I'm not going to let that affect me.
Yeah, he's also you can tell he's a really genuine, nice guy.
Oh yeah.
And I think that goes a long way for me too, because I find myself doing. I watch his videos all the time too, and he just seems like a really nice guy.
Well, yeah. I mean, the just watching some of the interactions um, in some of his videos with not necessarily people going crazy or anything, but it's an honest conversation. It's not this holier than thou. You're the best thing since sliced bread. I mean,
Right.
there's a bunch of guys out there that are like that, which is great, and that's what we need to promote. But it's just weeding through those ones that are selling you a bill of goods and not benefiting you.
Yeah.
Well, I agree, and I think there's some, especially off people like him that are doing big things. I haven't watched his channel specifically, but I
Oh,
do.
you got to check it out. It's a, it's a family friendly channel. He has never talked about his faith, but I can see where he leans that direction. So it's nice, clean.
Sure.
You don't have to worry about what he's talking about, and it's just entertaining.
Well, yeah, and people like that. I mean, we have a lot to learn from everyone, in whatever that we're interested in. And I think that's really good to pick up things, from people that are doing it better than us. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Just like we have, business mentors or whatever. Like, there's no problem with that. Learning from someone else, and even intentionally or just we're picking up things, from watching these people. And I don't think there's a problem with that. I think that's really cool.
Sure.
There's nothing new. Someone's always done it before you.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Daniel, I'm gonna let y'all get off here tonight. We'll have to do this again because, like I said, I want to keep these rotations going. But Daniel, tell people where they can find you and stuff like that. And I'll put it in the description. And then Ron, you're gonna do the same thing as him.
Sure.
All right, so I'm my main handle, I guess, is on the podcast, which is Lawn Care Unscripted. I I'm working on getting some of the other social stuff set up for it, but that's mainly where you can find me right now. If you want to email me, you can email me at lawncareunscripted@gmail.com.
That's awesome. Lawn Care Unscripted. Y'all check it out. All right, Ron, go with yours. Whatever you want to tell them.
Yeah, real simple. I'm Greenscapes, Ohio, across pretty much everything.
And do you promise to get that Rockstar Hairdo back or what?
I don't know if we're gonna go back to that. That was I've got it out of my system, and I think I'm good.
I mean, I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool.
With the said shave next year.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe it'll be purple or blue or something.
And will all of us listeners out there and me, will I get to see both you guys at the expo next year or what?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and for sure, that's the plan. Absolutely.
Well, yeah.
Lord willing.
Yeah, let's do it.
Rise.
Me and Emily, we already because that's how I make myself be serious about it. Like when I go ahead and book a hotel, that's the main part, or wherever you're gonna stay, whatever you're gonna do, camp, hotel, whatever your setup is. When I actually do that, well, number one, you get one of the barriers out of the way, but once you do that, like you're bought in. So like we're gonna try to always do that, like before the calendar year is over of this same year, find a place, as pain in the butt as it is researching all these things and all that.
It is.
Yeah, it's just like you could be on there for hours and you still never really find what you want. And you're reading through reviews and stuff. Y'all know how it goes. But anyway, try to make yourself find something and book something that same year or right now. Because again, once we get into spring, stuff's gonna be super busy. You don't want to be thinking about okay, all the expo hotels are getting super full or stuff. Which I know Ron lives closer than me and Daniel, but yeah. So we went ahead and booked that. I think I already sent the info to you, Daniel. I don't know.
Yep, I got it.
Did I send it to you too, Ron, where we were staying this year?
No, but please do, because
Okay.
I think I'm gonna go closer to the. Are you closer to the convention center again, like you usually are?
Well, it's not the same exact place that it was. I'll get you the info on that too as well. But
yeah, I think I'd rather be there than. We usually stay downtown, and I'll tell you what, the prices have gotten so crazy, and the traffic and getting around, and I think I'm going to stay closer to the convention center this year.
I gotcha. Well, thank you guys so much for your time tonight. Thank you to your families for giving up this time to let you come on here with me. And number one, I just appreciate both of you guys' friendship. Podcasts and stuff, it's just a tool that we can use to do that and connect with other people. Other lawn guys do the same thing. That's number one. I don't, if I never, if it's not like chart topping or anything, like I'm fine with that, but I do want to use it to connect with you guys, and I am doing that, at least that much. So that is cool. So that's the thing so that's my attitude, number one. And then, but hopefully, yes, I want to pick up and make my skills better, as I go along, because I got a lot to learn. Still got a lot to learn in lawn business. Got a lot to learn here too. And yeah, so thank you guys for coming on tonight. I so appreciate you, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's do it again. That was fun.
All right, bud. Appreciate both you guys. See ya.
See y'all.
There you guys have it. Two of my awesome friends, and yeah, I know y'all got a lot of stuff out of this episode. And shoot me an email if you have any questions about anything or about trying to track them down or whatever. And I should have their info here in the description. Thank you so much for listening. We're out.